When solving equations, we can follow 5 steps, and we can remember these steps by the phrase, every cowboy gets nervous sometimes, E, C, G, and S. E stands for eliminate. If we see parentheses, we're going to eliminate them by using the distributive property. So these questions in blue are the questions you should ask yourself as you go about solving an equation. Do I see parentheses? If I do, I will eliminate them by the distributive property. After that, you'll go on to step 2. C is for combine. You would combine or add like terms. So the question to ask yourself is, are there like terms? If there are like terms, you need to combine them. G and N, get the variable on one side and get the numbers on the other side. So basically, you are isolating the variable. You want the variable to be on one side of the equal sign and all the other numbers on the other side. So ask yourself, is the variable on the same side of the equation? And if it is, are all the numbers on the opposite side of the equation? The final step, S, is to solve. Solve for the variable. This would be to either multiply or divide whatever inverse operation is needed. And so basically in this last step, you are asking yourself, how do I undo this operation? If I'm multiplying to undo multiplication, I would divide. And if I am dividing to undo division, I would multiply. Let's look at a few examples. The first one we have is 5x plus 7 equals negative 23. First question to ask yourself, do I see parentheses? No, I don't. So I don't do step 1. I don't need to distribute. Step 2, are there like terms? Are there like terms? So I look left. On the left side of the equation, I have a 5x and a 7. Those are not like terms. I look right. I only have one term on the right side, so I can't combine it with anything else. So I can't do step 2. There are no like terms to combine. Step 3, I need to get the variable on one side. So is the variable already on the same side of the equation? I see an x on the left side. Is there an x on the right side? No, there's not. So step 3 is already done. The variable is on the left side of the equation, right? Here's my equal sign. This variable is on the left side of the equal sign. And so step 4, I need to get my numbers on the other side. So if my variable is on the left side, I need to get everything else on the right side. So here I need to move this plus 7 or this positive 7 to the other side of the equation. And whenever I move a term across the equal sign, I am either adding or subtracting whatever inverse operation is needed. Here, since I am adding 7, the inverse operation to be able to move 7 to the other side would be the opposite of addition, which would be subtraction. And so to get 7 to be 0 on this side and to move over here, I would need to subtract 7. Of course, I do that on both sides because that is the golden rule for equations. Whatever you do to one side, you do the same exact thing to the other side. Draw your horizontal equal sign across the entire problem. These 7s cancel, right? Draw a diagonal through them. They're gone because 7 minus 7 is 0. So the only term on the left side of the equal sign that I have is this term right here, 5x. I'm going to bring it down. I bring my equal sign straight down. On the right side of the equal sign, I have these two negative numbers, right? 23 is negative and 7 is negative. So I would say same signs add. 23 plus 7 is 30, and I add and keep the sign, right? Negative 23 minus 7 is negative 30. So this brings us to the fifth and final step. I solve, which either means multiply or divide, whatever inverse operation is needed. Because 5x means 5 times x, I need to undo multiplication, and the way to undo multiplication is by division. So I would divide both sides of my equation by that number in front of x, and the number in front of the variable is called the coefficient. So I'm dividing both sides of the equation by the coefficient. So I show horizontal fraction bar for division. I divide the left side by 5 and the right side by 5. The reason I divide by 5 is because 5 over 5 is 1, and so now the coefficient is 1 times x, which is just x. That is 1x right there. So x, bring your equal sign down. X is negative 30 divided by 5, which would be negative 6. Right? X is negative 6. Circle final answer. Okay, second equation here in green, I have 2 times negative p minus 2 equals 2. First question to ask yourself, do I see parentheses? Yes, I do. And so if I see parentheses, I need to get rid of them. And I get rid of them by distributing. I distribute the number in front of the parentheses to the terms inside the parentheses. I'm showing the distributive property by showing a rainbow. And this rainbow means I'm multiplying this number times this term and that term. So 2 times negative p, that'd be negative 2p. 2 times, this is not 2, remember, this is a negative 2. I have 2 times negative 2, which I know is negative 4. Bring your equal sign down, and on the right side of the equation, you just have 2. Okay, so you eliminated the parentheses. Step 2, are there like terms? Do you see any like terms over here on the left side? Here I have a p term and a constant term. Those are not like, I cannot combine them. After I look left, then I look right. Are there any like terms over here? Well, there's only one term, so there are no like terms. So I can't do step 2. Step 3, is the variable already on the same side of the equal sign? I have a p over here. Do I have a p on the right side of the equation? No, I don't. So step 3 is already done. I already have the variable on the left side of the equation. So step 4, I need my numbers, all the numbers on the opposite side. And so if p is on the left side, how would I get my numbers to the right side? How am I going to move this number, which is a negative 4? How am I going to move that over to the right side of the equation? Well, I'm going to use inverse operations. Because I am subtracting 4, I have to undo the subtraction. And I know that addition undoes subtraction. So I would add 4 to the left side and to the right side. Draw your equal sign across the entire problem. Of course, these 4's cancel. That's the whole reason I added 4, is so that negative 4 plus 4 would cancel. That is 0. And so the only term that you have left on the left side of the equal sign is this one right here. And this is not 2p. This is not 2p. This is negative 2p. So I bring down the negative 2p. I bring that equal sign down. On the right side of the equation, you have 2 plus 4, which I know is 6. Okay, so fifth and final step, I would either need to multiply or divide to solve for my variable p, whatever inverse operation is needed. Negative 2p I know means negative 2 times p, and so I know that to undo multiplication, I would divide both sides by the coefficient, or the number in front of p. Now, what is this number in front of p? You might say 2, and you would be wrong. This number is not 2. This number is negative 2. And so I would divide both sides of the equation by that number in front of p, which is negative 2. These negative 2's simplify to 1 because negative 2 over negative 2 is 1, and 1p is simply p. P is equal to 6 divided by negative 2. That is negative 3. Circle final answer. Okay, last example here in blue, I have negative s over 3 minus 4 equals 2. First question to ask yourself, do you see parentheses? No, I don't. So I don't do step 1. Step 2, are there like terms? Look left. Here I have an s term. This is a constant, so can't add those. On the right side, I only have one term, so I can't combine it with anything else. So can't do step 2. Step 3, is the variable already on the same side of the equal sign? I have an s on the left side. Do I have an s on the right side? No, I don't. So I can't do step 3 either. The variable s is already on the left side. So step 4, I need to get my numbers on the other side, on the opposite side of the variable. If the variable s is on the left side, how am I going to get this number, negative 4, to be over there? Well, I would do the inverse, or the opposite of subtraction, which I know is addition. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So those negative 4 plus 4 cancels, right? That's 0 now. And so the only thing left on the left side is this term right here, negative s over 3. I'll bring it straight down. I bring my equal sign down. Over here I have 2 plus 4, which is 6. Okay, now be careful here. This negative sign, remember, can be placed out front like it is now. It can be placed in the numerator up there. That means the same thing, or it could be placed in the denominator. I would suggest putting it in the denominator so that you will solve this properly and it will save you one step in the end. Okay. Now, if this is s over negative 3, remember this fraction bar means division, and so what is happening here is division. I need to undo the division to be able to get s by itself, and so I would need to multiply, since multiplication is the inverse of division. I'd multiply by this number in the denominator, which is negative 3. I multiply both sides, this side by negative 3 and this side by negative 3. Okay. What happens here is if this is negative 3 over 1, you can cross simplify. You got negative 3 over negative 3. That's 1. And so you're left with 1 times s, which is simply s. And s is equal to 6 times negative 3, which is negative 18. Circle final answer.